Okay, so we're ready to rock and roll. Are you ready, madam?
I am ready, of course, yes.
Okay, so welcome everybody, welcome. I will start sharing the screen. I'm going to actually also turn off my computer, my picture, um, which is also called a video. There we go. And share screen and let us have a look at what we've got to offer you today. So, you've met us both. I think most people know us who are on this call. My name is Bambaji, and I am currently in India. And I am really, really happy to be doing this series of webinars on 2027 and the coming era with Ilse. And Ilse was my teacher, and now she's my boss.
Oh,
Which
your
is
friend, your friend, hang on.
Sorry, so I have that in right. Oh, it's on recording. Yeah, and my friend. And and I teach for the school in Austria, and I love working with Ilse. So we bump off each other very nicely.
Mhm.
Um, so it's been a couple of months we've been planning this, isn't it, Ilse? Something like that.
Absolutely, yeah. We've put all our expertise in and all our heart and soul and blood, and it's.
Hmm.
I can only agree. It's such an interesting topic. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, really, really. Yeah, I know. And there's a lot of misinformation around, of course, about 2027,
Mhm.
about what might be coming, about even some of the things Ra said. So we thought we would put together this series of webinars and just sort of clear up some of the misconceptions and also offer some different viewpoints on some of the other things that are coming up that are going to be impacting us and things that we've seen in the past as well that we can look at and go, oh, okay, we can relate that to different elements of what's happening. Okay, so let's start our way through. We've got this webinar this evening. We think it'd be about an hour is what we're planning. We'll go through the slides that we've got, and then there'll be time for Q&A afterwards. So if you'd like to hold on to your questions until we get to the end, and then there'll be plenty of time to go through anything that comes up. Um, yeah, Ilse, would you like to say anything?
Well, no, wait, this is Friday the 13th, and we are starting with 13 webinars, so it all fits really nicely. And as you can see here, today's meeting to introduce us and the topics, that's free. And the future meetings we are going to sell. We put a lot of effort and work and expertise in. So I hope we will all see you in all the other 12 webinars as well and enjoy this absolutely fascinating topic. And Ra always had planned to do a website about 2027 and the raves. He did not get around to do it, but we have now, so we are doing it now, so you get all the information. And this is original human design information. So I really want to stress this is original human design. We do not care to stray from the from the original.
Indeed. I try and be a little bit woo-woo every now and then, mostly because my son is in gate 61 and I just can't help myself. But Ilse brings me back and we ground it together. So, we managed to sort of we do a little bit of a bit. And she just says to me sometimes, you can't possibly say that. How are you going to explain that? It's like, yeah, okay, okay. It's my 61 talking. I can't help it. Um, so if hopefully at the end of tonight you'll be interested in signing up for the rest, you know how to get in touch with us, and we can do that and get you signed up for any of the others. And we have put together a really interesting series, or we think it's a really interesting series of webinars of sort of lectures, but also just chats and a bit like we're doing tonight, that sort of feeling of this is what we're going to show you and we'll just hash it out together in a way, really.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, so this is the program as you can see. So of course today and in March, on the next 13th of the month, we're going
Oh, shit,
uh,
sorry.
to look.
I just lost my screen, didn't I?
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, you carry on. Yeah, okay.
Here we go. So
Mhm.
in March, the next or the first webinar is going to take a close look at what the actual cross of planning brought us, planning and Maya. Incidentally, I am planning Bambaji is Maya, so that comes
Oh,
together nicely in
yeah.
our personal topics. So we're going to look at all the programming forces and elements that have shaped us and that we are going to lose or leave behind. April, the logic in all the cycles, it's obvious that evolution changes and takes place, but we can, with human design, we can see the logic behind it, the mechanics behind it. Very, very interesting. Pluto, Bambaji, maybe you would like to talk about Pluto?
Oh, Pluto, known as it's the planet of transformation, really, and it's Pluto's influence that is going to initiate the sort of the changes that are coming, the mutation that's coming, and things that are going to happen in 2027. And so it's just looking at what does Pluto bring to the party, and yes, it's going to be an interesting one to look at.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
in June, we start looking at what happens next is we've got the title at the moment, and looking at the solar plexus change, the mechanics of what actually is coming in through with emotional intelligence. What does that mean? Um,
Hmm.
yeah, in,
Very important to distinguish between raves and humans because both will be around. So there is quite some misconception about all of us becoming emotionally aware. No, not quite. There is, it's interesting to understand the mutation in the solar plex.
mhm, yeah. And then in July, we look at some of the other myths that are around these changing times, the stories that come in about the different cycles of life that for different cultures, and understanding that there have always been predictions, there have always been prophecies, and we're not witnessing a sort of a random chaos that's coming in, but there is always a cycle that we follow, and it might be a really big cycle that we're not really aware of the turning of it, but it's still there and it's talked about in many different cultures in many different ways. And when we can understand this, we can move out of fear and we can move into a sense of some kind of understanding of meet it differently.
Hmm. Hmm. Then August and September, love and direction. That's another thing that I find very interesting and very important to understand because we keep talking about the cross of planning, our era now. It is planning and Maya. We have love and direction manifesting itself in various ways. And there's always one cross. Now it is planning that manifests love, and the other cross that manifests the direction, which is Maya. And these overall and general themes of love and direction go through all eras and through all times. So this is what we're going to look at in midsummer.
Mhm. Yeah, we'll dive into those a little bit more. And then in October, we start looking at the individual as we leave the era of the tribe and we move into the individuality and we look at what is enlightened selfishness. What does that actually mean? And how can we meet what's coming authentically and with integrity when everything that we're used to is potentially going to collapse around us?
Mhm. Yeah, then the systems under strain. I'm looking forward to this. This was one of the new ideas and new concepts that Bambaji brought up, looking at how, I mean, we can all watch our world collapse more or less, crumble in many ways. So that's going to be a very interesting look at our existing systems, yeah,
Mhm.
obviously needing to change, coming to a
Mhm.
change.
And then moving into December, we start looking at the 14 years because 7 years on either side, we live in 7 year cycles. So the 7 years on either cycle, either side of the change in 2027, how does that frequency shift look in reality? What are we actually, what's showing up in our world? What are we experiencing and have experienced? What can we expect to be coming? And, how does what we're living really connect to what the prophecy is?
Hmm. And the 7 year cycles, again, coincidentally, I mean, we had in 2020, we had the pandemic. We had a huge, obvious change in the global direction. And 2027, 7 years later, we have the announced mutation. So these 7 year cycles, they are really, yeah, easy to track and obvious to see.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And then we move into the new year. And in January, we'll be looking at the new and the old, because there are a lot of changes happening in 2027. So we'll look at some of the mechanics of that change and what is actually changing, because we know about the cycle and the mutation coming in, but the line is changing, the keys are changing, of course, and our Godhead is changing, the deity will change. So when we bring all of that together, what does it mean? So we'll take a look at that in January.
Hmm. Yeah, and then February, that's I mean, I'm so looking forward to January, to February. I always have to mention I took my driving test in London, in England, many years ago, and my English driving license expires in February 2027. So we'll see what else is changing. And going from planning and from all our cooperation and working together, and together we can create more and better, and that's clearly changing. We can already see it. So the dawn of the phoenix, the sleeping phoenix, is awakening. What does that
Mhm.
mean in everyday life, in practical life? So that's, yeah, that's going to be the last one.
Yeah, yeah. And then looking at also within that, what is our responsibility as we come into this new
Exactly.
changing
Hmm.
era? Yeah, how are we going to
Hmm.
meet that? That's
Hmm.
interesting. Okay.
Exactly.
And do this one, Ilsa?
Yeah, this is a table. I'm not sure if Ra did it himself, but he
I think it was
used it. So
Marianne Winnegar, wasn't it?
could be, yeah, could be. But
Mm,
this is the timing that the voice gave Ra, so we can see the global cycle, the big round. In a way, it is the about 26,000 years that the axis of the Earth takes to go around the wheel of the zodiac once. Our global cycle, the last one, is not a complete cycle anymore, starting in 16,000 something before Christ, and finishing in 3,674. So that's, as we claim to know, the end of our world. So we have a not complete round to go. So that's the general context. And what we're going to do today is looking at our uh, actual time, or our age, and our epoch nowadays, starting just before Christ, and going, seeing what the last couple of eras brought, and how you can once again clearly see how the overall program that we can read, how this obviously and clearly affected and shaped the world and the things that simply took place in history.
hmm. Yeah. It's a very beautiful diagram to look at.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, so you did touch on this briefly, but why are there two crosses in each era?
Yeah, because if you go back to the table, you can see that in these about 400-year cycles, or eras, it always starts with a either a Sphinx gate, or a love gate. So we have the general theme of love and direction, which is, in a way, the general overview, the general identity of at least human life. And as the Earth axis moves through one hexagram after the other, you get, of course, a new activation. But the new activation is always connected to love and direction. So we have various expressions and various manifestations of love. Right now it is planning, and of Sphinx, of direction. Right now that's Maya. So this is why each theme, each topic of each era is connected. Either, this is the way love expresses itself, and this is the way direction expresses itself.
So this
Yeah, this
table
is.
here shows us just as a more of a snapshot of where we are now. So the big table is called the round, and then the sort of the different colored bands are epochs. They're like a subdivision of a round. So each epoch lasts for around 3,296 years, and it is it's defined by the axial orientation of the Earth. I think that's it for that one, isn't it?
Mhm.
And then the final one, hold on a minute, where's the era gone? That one. There we go. Oh, pretty.
Here we go. Mhm. This is
Yeah.
us, and now here we are.
Mm. Yeah, this is the smallest of the spans, if you like. This is called an era. So each individual line is an era within an epoch within the round. And each era lasts approximately 412 years. And it is defined by a lock and key configuration, a pairing of the way that the love locks work with the direction locks and their keys. So that's where we get these combinations of crosses that come from. And each era gives us the sort of background soup, the flavor that we are living in during the time span that it defines. It's how society on a global level organizes itself, what themes become prioritized, whether that's through relationships or work. It's how we're conditioned on a grand scale.
Mhm.
Yeah, so what's happening in 2027, in February 2027, is a mutation that is coinciding with an era change. So the epoch stays the same, and the round, of course, also stays the same, but the era is changing.
Yeah, and here we can see the two changes. One is the actual mutation. So when we talk about the raves, when we talk about the new species uh, turning up in the scene, that's the mutation caused or brought by Pluto moving into 41 fifth line. So this is the mutational quality that Pluto brings. So in February 2027, we have two big global shifts happening at the same time. And we don't really know if this has happened before, but apparently it is very significant to have a mutation plus a global cycle change at the same time. So that's what makes this shift so particularly, yeah, important. And of course, the other side effect, we can watch it, we can take part, we can consciously look what's happening, and we don't have to suffer by it, but we can prepare, we can take part, we can, see mechanically what's going to happen and prepare for it.
Mhm.
So that's an incredible chance that, as far as we know, nobody had ever experienced before, because everybody so far had simply, was there to, suffer through it, or experience it, and okay, that's what's happened. But we can see what's going to happen, and we can, yeah, hopefully handle it better.
And we actually have the information this time that it is happening, and we don't,
Hmm.
there's no historical reference to it happening before. So this is a really, I guess it's a unique event in our human history. And
Hmm.
having these two distinct things happening, they're being brought together as one event, the mutation and the change of the cycle. And they are two events. They are actually two events, one driven by Pluto and one driven by the precessional movement of the Earth's axis.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that is what is happening in February 2027.
Hmm. And maybe just a little detail. We know the exact date of the mutation. We know when Pluto will activate 41 fifth line. We tried to work out the exact date for the cycle change, and we were not successful. So instead of putting here some date that might hopefully be exact, we stick with Ra. Quoting the voice that it both will happen in February 2027. So, if anybody wants to know the exact global change and can calculate it, please let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. We went through quite a few things on that one, didn't we?
Mhm,
So we thought we'd look briefly then at the sort of the four cycles that have come before our own, and just have a glimpse of what they brought and the energies that were around in the world at the time. Because through looking back, we can get a sense of maybe getting some clarity around what these energies are as we move forward as well. We can have confidence in the knowledge that we have.
mhm.
So would you like to begin the first one?
Yes, with pleasure. I mean,
Okay.
this is 33 before Christ, so when Christianity started, when the big religion that claims to be the religion of love started, we have love and direction. We have the vessel of love activated, and we have the four Sphinx gates activated. So in a way, this really set the framework or set the pace for the identity of what we are now in this epoch. So, with Christianity rising, we had love, the sun, the axis pointing towards 25, towards the um, universal love, which is, very much what Christianity claims to be about. And we see that the direction is I call this the collective sphinx, with the 13 and the 7 being, the one side. So this is about communicating and expressing and sharing with the collective your individual being and creativity. So for me, really, the start of Christianity, that's really the key that happened exactly in this era. Apart from many other things, of course, but we
Mhm.
want to stay on the
Mhm.
surface here.
Yeah, and I started off by saying, "Oh, love, meeting love, and isn't that lovely?" And really, Nilsa pointed out that the Roman Empire at its height was really not that loving. It wasn't that kind of an entity. It was expansive, it was militarized, it was disciplined, and it was ruthless, and it had a
Hmm.
very, very definite direction. And
Hmm.
to betray any of that, there was no love around that kind of betrayal. And
Hmm.
there was a lot of stuff around, what did the Romans do for us? That sort of, I don't know if you know that Monty Python thing, but they did bring a lot into the world, the roads and the territories and a lot of infrastructure that they brought in. And
Hmm.
yet at the same time, it was a tough era to be,
Hmm.
to be part of.
That's why I keep saying Christianity claims to be the
Mhm.
religion of love. I mean, there's a lot
Mhm.
of not loving actions that Christianity, brought about too. But the general theme is, how do we interact with each other, and which way do we go,
Mhm.
collectively?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Next epoch or the next era. Sorry, not next era.
Era, yeah.
Mhm. So we move from in 379 to 790. This is where we move into the next configuration where love is the locks of love are opened by Eden, the cross of Eden, and direction is opened by the four ways. And here, it's not about Eden being paradise enjoyed. It really is a sort of paradise lost. With the Roman Empire is beginning to collapse now. Urban life is contracting. There had been trade routes that were set up that were really starting to fracture. There were plagues and famines and migrations, and it was a very difficult era. A lot of these early eras were very, very difficult. Life was quite precarious, and
Hmm.
and love in this era, there was a real sense of loss that could come with it, with the wars that were happening, with the broken political, social structures that were going on as the Roman Empire, did its thing and lived out its life.
Hmm. And you can see it clearly if you look at the gates that Eden is activating. 36.6, the opposition in the solar plex, that is a very hot, energetic time and theme. So you have the crises and the wars and the fighting, very emotional, very hot, very brutal, as you say,
Mm,
on the one side. And 11 and 12, the two very humanistic and aloof gates, the idealistic, careful expression. So these are really the two sides, am I in paradise or outside?
mm,
Ra often said about this cross, this represents heaven and hell. Hell, the driving emotional power part in 36 and 6, and heaven with the idealistic aloof humanistic ideas up there. So that's really
mhm.
exactly what happened. Can we stay in paradise, or do we have to find our way in this harsh reality?
Yeah, yeah, indeed. And in terms of the direction through the four ways, we see that there's no longer a single imperial center with Caesar dictating the path forward. That kind of thing is dispersing. And there is more of a sense of a very different leadership coming through, taking its different ways, taking its people through different ways. Kings and bishops as the church found its way through, tribal leaders and dynasties of all sorts coming through and claiming their legitimacy,
Hmm.
and that movement becoming cautious, maybe becoming more tribal, as we've got the
Hmm.
19 there and the 44, and bringing in some of that tribal element as the movement became, it was a little bit more bonded in a way.
Hmm. And 19 being the start of the mystical way and of the mystical channels, and being in a, once again, potentially brutal and harsh channel. So, what do I need to survive, and can I uh, keep up my principles if I make sure that I have all I need, all the material practical needs. So
Mhm.
the direction is really, I make sure I get what I need.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, next cycle, 790 era. Sorry, we have to get the wording correct. Era 791 to 1202. So love is represented or is shown or is opened by rulership. So this is really the era of the Vikings and the starting of big kingdoms, and again, the ruler. I am, what kind of ruler am I? Am I graceful or am I without any grace? Can I find meaning in what I do? Do I have what I want? I mean, 26 and 45 in this cross are two ego circuit gates. So this is about me and my power and my possession, and what kind of ruler can I be and do I want to be, and who do I rule? Do I rule just me, or do I tell you what to do? So this is a, again, big shift in the way uh, large communities were governed.
Hmm. Yeah, Viking raids up and down coastlines. I know there's nothing loving about that kind of stuff going
Definitely.
on at all. The political boundaries and the way that they were being set out and ruled, and
Hmm.
the Holy Roman Empire coming in. I mean, the father there, the rulership there that was coming through. It was that was a brutal time as well. As the church really dug in and set its well, its own kind of rulership, I suppose, wasn't it?
Hmm. 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 Yeah, and the direction on the other side, we see the 41 is really the push towards a better life, a more meaningful life, towards fulfillment and the impact that you have or not. And what I find particularly interesting here in this cross of the unexpected is the 27, because in our German talk in a couple of hours, we talk about medical development and how, particularly in this time, we had the conflict between European medical schools and Arabic and Judaistic medical school, where here in Europe they were still treating disease with prayer and taking blood. And on the other side, in Persia, they were already performing cesareans. So, there was a huge, uh,
Mhm.
unexpected development and change with particularly the rulers and the church mainly tried to keep down and avoid the caring, supporting medical knowledge that was already there in other parts of the world.
Mhm.
So very
Yeah,
interesting period.
yeah. And we've got the channel of the alpha is defined here in this era with the
Hmm.
7 and the 31 there. So there's that who was the alpha of the time? And was it the
Hmm.
church? Was it the leaders, the charismatic leaders maybe that came through? Was it the Pope or a conquering king? Or
Hmm.
who was being top dog at that time?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, next, moving closer and closer to where we are now. We have 1203 to 1614, where love is open through consciousness and direction through laws. So love may be turning inward here a little bit, or so I know, belief no longer being unquestioned. There are doubts, there is confusion. What exactly is out there? What are we being fed? It's that time maybe where things that were taken for granted are being examined and argued a little bit more. Devotion maybe is becoming a bit more of a conscious thing. It becomes better articulated
Mhm.
through the 35, through the throat gate there of the 35. There is a lot of scholasticism, I think that's how you say it, in this
Mhm.
time. It's a time of debate.
Mhm.
Universities are flourishing at this kind of
Mhm.
time. Thinkers are coming through. Thomas Aquinas was part of this era, attempting to reconcile faith and reason, and theology becomes more systematic. Yes, I
Mhm.
believe, and this is why. It had
Mhm.
actually got some logic to it, some reasoning behind it.
Mhm. Mhm. And in consciousness, you can clearly see the questions in the 63, 64, and with the 5 and the 35, this other opposition, the big question about which facts and which logical things bring progress. What
Mm.
do I need to do, and what do I need to start off to get further, to bring the progress to, again, the whole collective. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a time when Martin Luther was challenging the church. That was
Mhm,
happening in
mhm,
around 1517. So it was a
mhm,
real, from him, that was the assertion of individual conscience, standing above that decree of institutionalism. So
mhm,
love of
mhm,
God became something that was much more internalized,
mhm,
very
mhm.
personal. Yeah.
And questioned, really questioned.
Mm,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm,
And then direction opened up through laws, a time when there was a lot more coming through again through the Roman influence in jurisprudence. That was something that came through where monarchies began all over the world and to centralize authority, and written codes were much more adhered to. They were written down. It wasn't so much just a customary practice that this is what we do because we've always done it. It became
mhm.
much more a time of doctrination. That's not how you say it, is it? Behavior, social order, that kind of thing became really important. And a huge thing in this era, of course, was the Inquisition. So it's a dark time. It was a very dark time.
Mhm. And with the laws and the rules and regulations, you have all the business starting, people coming together and making regulations on how to sell and invent things, and the initiation in the cross of laws, this power for a change. This is very much a um, monetary or materialistic change.
Mm.
What can we do to be successful with our business, with our work? So that's also something that started.
Mm. And we've got the channel of rhythm here as well, which is interesting because it's a time when cycles did become was sort of more there were the agricultural cycles that were being laid down as this is how we're
Hmm.
going to do things. There were the
Hmm.
liturgical calendars that came in, guild
Hmm.
rules, legal procedures, and
Exactly. Yeah.
society was really starting to fall into patterns.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it was quite an exact thing in that sense in this era.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
Black Death was a big thing during this time in Europe in the 14th century, which
Hmm.
really changed the face of Europe. So
Hmm. Hmm.
much. Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
brought in a lot more.
That's the
Yeah.
price of society growing. If you live
Hmm.
together, many people, diseases spread a lot
Yeah.
faster and more
Yeah.
successful.
And there was a lot
Hmm.
of poverty because of the religious wars that were going on in that time. Those
Hmm.
wars
Hmm.
took a lot of money and a
Hmm.
lot
Hmm.
of resources out of society. And so
Hmm.
people were really struggling. There was a huge amount of poverty, which of course made them that much more vulnerable to the sickness and the disease
Hmm.
when that came along as
Absolutely. Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and with the church and religion trying to suppress medical treatment,
Yep.
it's really,
Yeah,
yeah.
indeed. Wow. Do you want to talk about planning briefly on this one? Our current era?
Yeah, yeah. Well, planning is really building structures for community. So we have the whole channel of friendship. Where do I belong? And this obvious result of, if we work together, everybody is going to benefit. So the support in the tribal 3740, let's get together and do something. And for me, it is so incredibly fascinating how this is what is so normal for us, and what seems so, well, obviously it cannot be any other way. And this is stopping, this is coming to an end, and that's, I think, the most difficult part for us to grasp, because everything, I mean, if you grow up with something that is absolutely logical and necessary, and everybody relies on the support and the sharing and the communication and the social security or the UN, whatever, this is so natural for us. This is going to take a big, how shall I say, a big step to overcome that, and to simply accept that there will be, and there are, of course, other ways of living together.
Mm.
Not quite sure which ones, but there are.
We're gonna have to find them.
Exactly. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. And so direction has been opened through Maya during this past era. So with the 61 there with that the inner truth, and there has been a real upswelling of people finding their inner truth, going on their journeys to meet their guru or to find whatever, which is not why I'm in India, but that is it's that sort of learning to meditate, all of the stuff that came out of actually areas like India and the Tai Chi's out of China and these sort of inner mysteries that came, but also with a sense of sort of focus and coming through that 62, which was also a bit of an illusory time in a way, illusions starting to be seen through. We saw a big rise in technology, in how do we live in the world with all of the technology that has been coming through, because we tend to now look, there's a lot of sort of models. People live life through models rather than through their lived experience. There's economic projections that override human instincts. There's productivity more important than just being in the world.
Hmm.
Systems that were designed to help us stabilize life and bring continuity and growth are actually going over. Exponential growth is no growth at all. And we're seeing
Hmm.
that in the 42 as we move out of planning and
Hmm.
towards the new era.
Hmm. Yeah, and the illusion really to think we know it all now, and we've got all the details, and now we can be the end of the food chain or the kings of the world, well, or not.
Yeah, there was one
Mm.
description I heard of coming to the end of this time and moving into the new era is that humanity is sort of moving now into its menopause. We sort of, as we move forward into this new era here that starts next year, it's that sense of, okay, this is a real line in the sand that has been drawn. This is
Hmm.
saying everything changes now, and we are not the top dogs anymore.
Hmm.
Things are going to be very different as we move forward. Would you like to
Mm.
start us off on this one, Ilse?
Which one?
This new one.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that that you've changed
As if by magic.
sorry. Yeah, well, so this is where the speculation comes in. I mean, Phoenix expressing love, and if you look at the cross of Phoenix, again, it seems a little bit difficult to detect the love in here, because it is my personal, 59, my role in bonding, my role in sexuality. I'm busy finding my role to have and to fulfill in the 55, my spirit. So it's very inward oriented, self oriented, busy, busy, busy. I want to find the perfect other to get my satisfactory spirit and mindset. So this has nothing to do with the support and the sharing and the let's work together and everything is going to be better if we cooperate. So it's an era that definitely starts with an inward oriented, in a way egoistic care for oneself and self empowerment. And again, we have the beautiful term of self-empowering, and we have the negative term of really being an egoistic asshole. I mean, they we can already see them rising, and so that's going to be a huge challenge. And bonding is going to move and change very much from the family where one cares and looks after the other, to a very individualistic and bonding with sameness and with people who I want to bond with and who I feel related to, and not at all the people that I grew up with or am I related with. It's just I choose my friends and my bubble and my individual preference.
Yeah. And then with penetration, unlocking and our direction. Well, and we've got a little bit of tribal there with the 54, but it's that the tribal sense of the materialism of the tribe rather than that bonding side of the tribe. The
Hmm.
53 is like, what exactly is starting here? What is this newness that we're bringing in that we're going to be sharing together? It's going to be a time of an intuitive time, perhaps, but intuitive for the individual. And then with that shock coming in, I mean, an era that's got all of this going on, and we get shock. Thank you very much. We don't know what's going to come, but it's not necessarily going to be an easy time. And
Hmm.
if the predictions that we have heard from Ra about the way that society is going to break down, and the killer monkey that is just below the surface when things go, slightly difficult. And we saw it a little bit, 6 years ago during the COVID when that's first started and people were fighting over toilet rolls and all of that nonsense. It's, he did say you don't have to scratch too far below the
Hmm.
surface to get that killer monkey.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
this for us then is our real opportunity to stand in our enlightened selfishness so that we know who we are when we're
Hmm.
meeting what is potentially coming
Hmm.
at us.
Yeah, we will penetrate to the core. We will see what is really, what shows up if you lift the thin surface
Mm,
of civilization.
yeah. And was it Gandhi who was asked, what do you think of Western civilization? And he said, I think it would be a good thing.
Yes, exactly. Very true. Very true. Yeah.
So obviously we don't really know what's coming. We can't say we know what's coming, but we've got a good idea based on all of the energies that we know, and we know how all of this works. Thank you there, my tea bear. It's like, oh, so we can look back and we can see, okay, these are the energies that we've experienced. This is what we know has happened in our history. There is, history has been written. We can access it, and so we can extrapolate forward a little bit. So, yeah. Hmm.
And after all, we've got type and strategy. I mean, this is really a big reminder to understand how you work and function yourself, and
Mhm.
to understand and rely on your correct decision making process. That's the only safeguard we have. And, I've been sort of working with it for 33 years. So, yes, I have a little experience and it does work. Surprisingly enough, it really does work. So, this is where all of this is really guiding us or taking us to. We can see what's going on, we can understand the structure and the mechanics, and we can rely on our correct decision making authority. That's something nobody else has ever had before in all of human history, as
Mhm.
far as we know.
Mhm. So that is the last of our slides. I'm going to show my face again. Yeah, fun times.
So you can see there's a lot to explore. I mean, many of the things we just touched, we are going to look at in much more detail. And yeah, I mean, I hope you are as fascinated as I am, but this is all really exciting times. I mean, being alive here and now, being able to consciously watch and take part in the change of an era. I mean,
Wow.
how lucky are we? I mean, this is
Yeah.
really fantastic. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a big thing. So,
Then,
any
let
comments or questions or anything anybody would like to bring up? We still have some time. Hello, Frank. Nice to see you.
we were so fascinating that no comments are necessary.
And we can see things changing already. So it's not really as if this is brand new information. It's like, oh, I
Mhm,
didn't realize this was happening. We know it's happening. We already
mhm,
know that people are losing confidence in our institutions. That it's just not what it was to have the religious institutions, the education, the medical things. People don't trust it so much anymore. So we
mhm,
can see these changes coming in already. I mean, this
mhm,
isn't new. Well, it's just again, it's like Ilse said, strategy and authority. This is how we meet it. It's such a gift that we have.
mhm. And a gift that we need. I mean,
Mm.
we're having to deal with so many crazy things, so it's, definitely necessary to have something to rely on.
Hmm.
We were just talking the other day with all the technological advance. I mean, it is already possible, and within months it will get better and better. I can show you a video with you saying something that you never said.
Yeah.
All the fake news you can already produce. It is
Hmm.
already nearly impossible to discern what is right and not. So I
Yeah.
mean, all our reliable sources are mm, crumbling, and yeah, and I don't want to see the negative alone. I mean, we will survive. I'm not worried about humanity in a whole generally, but for some people this is not going to be fun, and there is not only the mutation, there's also coming a big infertility. So we will,
Hmm.
uh, the amount of people will drop dramatically, which will solve some problems by itself. But this is
Yeah.
going to take what, 2, 3 generations. So we will see the start of the chaos, and yeah,
And Ra
let's
talked
see.
about climate change as well. That was another thing
Mhm,
that he talked about, wasn't it? I was thinking about
mhm,
delusion being the 16, gate 16 in the line one.
mhm,
Delusion,
mhm,
which is something that we're living through right now. And you can really, when you look at these energies, it's so clear to see what we've got, what we're going through. But Ra
mhm,
talked about the climate change and how it was going to start getting hotter because that's what the rave need in order to
mhm,
survive. The rave really, they require heat, more heat
mhm,
than we generally
mhm,
can cope with.
mhm,
So he said it's a completely natural part of the
mhm.
cycle that this should also be taking place.
We had a seminar with Ra many, many, many years ago, in somebody's living room. And here in Austria, we are very particularly about separating our rubbish. So in the kitchen of this woman, there were, I think, 4 different rubbish bins for all the stuff. And Ra would, I don't know what it was, I think it was a tin can, and he just put it in the rubbish. And of course, Mrs. 1858 picks it out again and tells the master, "We don't do this here. We separate our rubbish." And he would just laugh at me and said, you know, "Do you really think that you can save the world, or change the world?" And he said then, and this is 20 years ago at least, probably a lot more. We need the heat. If we really save the world and stop the climate change, the mutation would not happen, because mutation needs more energy, and heat is
Mhm.
definitely a rise in energy. So
Yeah.
he was funny in this way, and he was very clear about, don't bother. Which again, I still separate my rubbish, but I always think of
Of course you do.
yeah,
Every time you take a tin can out. Thank you, Rob.
yeah,
But if we don't have the mutation, if it doesn't come through, then what has humanity been for? What what has it been all about? Because it's the
yeah.
natural progression.
Hmm.
Consciousness in form needs to progress to get to, okay, what is the highest expression it can have? and we're done.
Hmm.
It's reached its highest purpose in us. Time to
Yep,
move over and let the others see what they can do.
Can I ask something?
of
Mm.
course.
You said that that there will be less people on Earth. Will that be because there are less children born, or has it also to do with the disasters like the water floods and whatever?
I suppose both, but mainly because of the rising infertility. I mean, we can
Ah,
already see disasters happen. We just had a couple of people killed in an avalanche. Uh, so, yes, there will be more natural disasters, but to kill millions, it needs more than a flood. And it is the upcoming infertility that is going to be a big
ah,
thing. So, that's, I suppose, the main part. And the raves, as a species, they are not fertile. So there's a new species that will, in a way, be the end of natural reproduction.
mm,
And Ra did say that the next era that we're moving into, the Phoenix, is actually things aren't going to be dramatically different, certainly for the first sort of 50, 60 years even. But it's the one after that, the era
Mhm.
after that, that things will really start to get where humanity will really realize that they're not top dog anymore, that it really, there is another species, there's another kid on the block, and it's not
Mhm.
us. And that's
Mhm.
when he said things will start to get really difficult, when humanity will
Mhm.
start to fight back. And that's not necessarily something we will have to deal with. Although we are in a unique position of being able to educate the people who
Mhm.
are coming along, and that really maybe that is our purpose. That is our what we're here to do. Is to
Yeah.
educate the people who are coming along so that they can know what we know and meet what's coming.
Tell
mm,
our kids and grandkids, we
Mm,
can tell them
mhm.
definitely. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. And when the race they don't get children, I understand. Uh,
Hmm.
they also don't have sexuality.
Hmm.
Well, a lot of them won't want to be touched. I mean, that was one of
Hmm.
the things that is going to signify a rave. They really won't want to be touched. They won't want to be physical with each other or with certainly with them. Well, they won't even recognize us. They won't know we're here to be physical with. So, no, there isn't really going to be a lot coming out of the rave, not
Mm,
physically.
All the in vitro experiments that have been
Mm.
going on for decades, Ra said if we're not successful with artificial reproduction, we're going to die out. So all the experiments, starting with the clone sheep dolly, all
Dolly.
of this, that is humanity learning to reproduce artificially.
Mm. He
mm,
said, didn't he,
Again, I
about
mean,
20, was it 25 years ago? He said, if you really want your family to be wealthy in the future, then invest now in IVF programming and
yeah.
that all of that
Mhm,
sort of, yeah,
mhm,
that kind of
mhm.
technology, because that's what's going to see
Yeah.
humanity through. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
mm. Thank you.
Hmm.
I read a survey quite a while ago that the sperm count in male sperm has dropped something like, I don't know, 30% or 60%. I mean, there's still millions of them, so it's no, it's not nothing yet, but still, you can measure an incredible uh, 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 how do you call it, getting less in every way of. And if you look around, there are fertility clinics everywhere. When I was young, people were really worried not to get pregnant unintentionally, and
Mm,
now they spend years and a lot of money to become pregnant. This
hmm.
happened within just a few decades. I mean, I remember, I'm not young, but when I was young, that was definitely not the problem, just the opposite.
Hmm.
And now I have a couple of friends whose kids, really go through an enormous effort to become pregnant. It's
Yeah.
not fun.
Yeah. And there are a lot of kids these days actually deciding not to have families.
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
that is another part of it. I mean, it may not be exactly the fertility issue, but
Hmm.
there's
Hmm.
actually deciding not to have children at all. And so there are communities where the balance is getting way out. There aren't the children coming up who are then going to be part of the infrastructure, who are going to look after the elders, and that sort of natural cycle of things is also changing.
Just open the newspaper and look at the difficulties all our social security financing has. It used to be, I don't know, 5 working people supporting one retired, and now it's two working already having to finance one. It's completely out of balance, and it's a huge problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope there will also be some fun in the topics, eh?
We'll see. I'll do my best.
Otherwise, you have to pay me for to become depressed. Do you also make a translation to the individual, what it means at individual level? Because it's all very collective what happens and the mutations, but what that means for on an individual level.
Well, I can show you exactly what you will have to deal with. If the
Okay.
if the background frequency is not supporting your retirement money anymore, that's very, very practical and very individual. Make sure you've got some money in the bank.
Yeah. Okay.
On a generally speaking.
Yeah.
And that level of support that we're used to as well, I think, and we see it very much in the kids. Bear and I were talking about it with his kids. There is that feeling of the government are going to take care of us and we're going to be fine because the government are going to look after us. And actually, that sort of thing is not really going to happen because the governments are running out of money. Most governments in the world are actually bankrupt and are not able to support. It's just that hasn't really filtered through down to the level of the people who are going to stand up and say, hold on a minute, where's my money? How am I going to survive here? And so then we fall back on some of the old skills that we need to also keep alive. And this is something that's really important. People nowadays who maybe don't know how to garden, or they don't know how to cook, or they don't know how to provide for themselves in these ways, because a lot of that's been taken away. It's been dumbed down. It's not taught in schools anymore. There's so much processed food that you don't have to think about how you're going to cook something, how you're going to dig up a carrot and wash it and cook it. And these things are the skills, let alone things like weaving a piece of clothing, or making how you're going to make a pair of shoes or repair your shoes if those are falling apart. There are so many different elements to it that it's just really it's extraordinary. It's mind-blowing, really, what could be coming at us down the line. And I think we can meet it with a great deal of joy, actually. And I think we can meet it with a sense of like, well, actually, we know where we are and we can meet this together. And we have to do it individually, and yet we can also support each other, those of us who know how to do that and to do it correctly, to do it authentically.
I think that's a good point.
Yeah, I think the relying on all the tech support. I mean, my favorite example is always in Vienna. I used to live in a block of flats on the second floor, and in Vienna we have very good drinking water, which even without electrical pumps should go up to the second or third floor. But the fifth, sixth, and seventh floor, they're not going to have water anymore. Now, just imagine what happens in a city when the toilet flush doesn't work anymore. Just imagine that. How many days can you live without being able to flush your toilet? And that's, a minor problem.
Yeah, I'm in India. We get it every day. But it's true. It's true. And we had a couple of days where all the internet went down. And it's chaos when people can't get online to check their bank, or they can't get online to call a tuk-tuk or whatever it is. They just can't do anything if you can't get online. If you can't use that little bit of metal that we all carry around with us all the time, if it's not connected to something, you might as well use it to prop the door open, because it's fuck all use for anything else. It's like, what do we do with that kind of thing? How do we stay connected in a world that relies on that kind of technology? Yeah.
Very interesting, yes.
But we will try and do it without, bringing out your dead, because, we'll have some fun with it as well.
No, definitely.
I know.
And of course, knowing about it, we can connect. I mean, we can sort of uh, start the Ibiza human design community and have fun there.
Yeah. Find an
Mhm.
island, build a
Mhm.
human design island.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Anybody have anything else they would like to bring to the table?
I think it will be very interesting how to integrate all that in your life, in your daily life. What happens?
Mm, yep.
You,
Sunny.
I'm curious about your perspectives on the shift from the first to the sixth line, because that's also very different. Uh, yeah.
Well, all the crazy hunting after details will stop. I mean, right now, everything, I mean, look at all the data protection law, everything. If you just fill in a visa application, the details you have to fill out, it's just absolutely crazy. And this is going to stop. That can be a nice change. On the other hand, without detailed support, if your computer breaks down and there is no technician around anymore, so we will quickly have to learn to fix things ourselves again. So you have to see the detail in a wide variety of application. So the visa application, that's going to become easier. But I don't know if public transport doesn't know what train is arriving at what time. If these details are missing, we're going to be in big trouble. So the dependency on the detailed technological support that we are used to now,
Mm.
this is interesting. And yeah, move to the countryside.
Right, because we're losing the 62, so we're losing the
Mhm,
details from there, we're losing the
mhm,
9, we're losing the
mhm,
skills, all of those things that go along with those first lines
mhm,
as well. Yeah, it's a big
mhm.
change, big
And
change.
of course, remember, I mean, I'm a 4-6 cross of planning. So in my aura, there is always going to be the friendship and the support and the planning, because as long as I'm alive, my individual aura will be this energy. So it's not going to stop within a day. There's going to be people who will help us move out, and there's going to be Phoenix people who will help us move in. So there is going to be the transition and the support in the transition. But yeah, we will notice, and we can already. I mean, just look at the newspaper. I used to read my newspaper in the morning. I don't know, half an hour. I'm down to 10 minutes at the most, because I'm so fed up with all the rubbish, with all the crazy. I just read the headlines and okay, not interested in this, not interested in that. I don't want to hear what Trump said yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also, it's like everything with human design is that we experiment on ourselves as we're getting closer to this shift. How is it feeling in the world? Especially if you're a first line. Are you still feeling like this world is part of you're in this world, you're experiencing this world? And if as you're a planning person, are you still feeling that as a Maya person? I've got all of my, of course, Maya is my cross. I've got 3 of the planning gates as well. And it's like all of this shifting and going away. How does it feel in your lived experience? Because you can
Mhm,
listen to us talk about it for ages about this is what we think, this is what how does it feel? How are you
mhm.
experiencing it in your life? And hopefully you'll bring that to our our webinars as well, and bring that part of the discussion, because that's what we need, is like the lived experience of all of us to be able to see it through.
Very interesting indeed. Like but for me also, because I'm on the cross of the Maya, for me it feels very chaotic and unstable. But I don't know if that's not probably specific to my cross. I think everyone feels that.
There's a lot of that. What's your profile?
1-3.
Okay.
Mhm. Well,
Okay. So you're moving out of that one as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
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 And every transition is a bit chaotic. There is such a general resistance against everything new because we are used to the old, we know how to handle it. So there is this laziness and this resistance to change. But I mean, just remember the pandemic. We had a situation that has never happened before, and within days, people had adapted. You know, it was nobody could imagine that this could happen, and within a couple of days, everybody was wearing the stupid mask and going out. So people are very, very adaptive, and particularly here in our Western rich world, the support is not going to break down within hours. It's going to break down in years. So we can adapt to it, and the better we we know it and we plan for it and we prepare for it, the better for us. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
just make a plan for when the toilet flush stops. What are you going to do?
We'll have to get a plunger. We could be like, that could be our symbol.
Yes.
And these things change, even they go gradually. It's not like we're going to wake up one day and it's like, shit, everything's different. Or it's potentially like that, I suppose, but it's unlikely to be that because that's not how cycles really move. You look back in 5 years and go, oh, that's what happened. Now I see it. We generally see these things much more clearly in hindsight.
Mhm.
But
Because when we're
isn't
living
that
it, we're
one
just
of
living
the
it. Sorry.
isn't that one of the specialities of mankind?
Hmm?
You wouldn't have come that far if we hadn't been able to adjust
Absolutely.
and quickly adjust
Mhm.
quickly. And okay, normally nowadays we invent something that helps, but I think also the way of living can change properly to different, circumstances, atmospheres, and whatever.
Yeah.
I'm quite optimistic we can do that. And I had
Oh yeah.
a
Oh
quite
yeah.
weird idea. Sometimes I think if change comes to surviving, like all the techniques you said, how to harvest something and wash it and cook it and so forth. Probably all these refugees we took in Europe may help because they know these techniques from home.
Mhm. 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 Good point. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Mhm. I was working with an architect many, many years back, and we had Polish people being the only ones who could restore um, the artistic side outside of a building, on the facade of a building. I don't know what you call it, the plaster ornaments. There was nobody in Vienna who could do that, so we had to hire Polish people who could do that. So that's that's going to happen, certainly. Getting people from more rural societies to show us how to plant the carrot. Definitely.
There's a question that's coming to my mind. Are you talking about our relationship with the animal kingdom in your series?
No.
Because, this contract with the animals are going to end, I have heard. And I was just wondering if Ra has ever mentioned what we could imagine what's going to happen.
He did talk about that with the breaking down of the mystical way. The
Yeah,
1949 is
exactly.
won't be part of the new era going forward. And so yes, I think we have to talk about that at some point. I'm not sure which one we talk about it in, but it will definitely come up.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
and I wouldn't call it the contract with the animal kingdom. I got a little bit. I did not quite see what you mean, but we will. I mean, the wraiths will not be able to eat meat, and
Exactly.
you can see the vegans being more popular than ever. So our way of nurturing and feeding ourselves, that's definitely going to change. So the contract will sort of end. I'm not going to eat you anymore. Yes, they will enjoy that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
even it will be on the level, I think, of keeping animals as pets. that there is around that dogs and cats, and so it's just been part of how we have existed within the framework with that relationship we've had with them. And there was some talk somewhere that would also stop being such a prevalent thing. We just won't keep pets in the same way that we do now.
Well,
But
I
again,
hope I'll die. I'll have died by then. So
yeah,
wouldn't like to miss my Naya.
be like not
Well,
celebrating
Rasid,
Christmas anymore.
Yeah, but that
Rasid to me
concerns the
once.
rapes more than us, right?
No, because
Yes, but there's many humans now
1949.
turning vegans. So this is a
Yeah.
trend that is definitely started. And Ra said to me once, I'm cross of planning. I've got the 3740, which is, among other things, the eating meat. In my aura, in my house, you will always be served a bloody steak, and I will enjoy it until the end of my days. So, there's going to be the people around who will keep up the meat
Yeah.
eating.
I more meant, how is our relationship to the animals going to change, or the perception of animals? That's what's really concerning me. Or is there an uprise of animals against humans, that kind of thing? There are some stories about that going
I
around,
never said
or
anything about that I've come
diseases.
across.
Or diseases for animals, that they're going to die in huge amounts or something like that. He has
Well, this
never.
is already happening. The way we treat our food animals is so
Yeah,
ridiculous, is
I
so
know, I
crazy,
know.
is so bad that we already have the diseases. We have the diseases that we
Yeah,
get from eating this rubbish meat. So you can already see the change in
yeah,
this
that's
already.
true. Yeah,
So
that's true.
that's going to speed up definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the treating of animals has to change. There's no question about that. Being the pets, or being, yeah. What do you call the Nutztiere? Oh, I don't know about it. I never know this word in
Yeah, I
English.
don't know.
Die
I know what you
Nutztiere.
mean. That's
This very unhealthy industry. Okay, that has to change, and we're already seeing the signs of that. That's true. Yeah, okay, we'll see. We'll see. I guess we're gonna see some of that, at least the
Yeah.
beginning.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, all these large populations of cows and pigs and animals that we now eat will diminish extremely, because nobody
Yeah.
will. For what would you have a
Why
lot
would
of
you want to
cows
eat
for?
that? Yeah.
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 So they maybe die out. We don't know.
Yep. Well, I'm hoping. There's a proper way of treating animals, and there is an improper way. So I'm sure it's gonna be better for animals in the future. I'm pretty sure about that. On the other hand, we treat animals, pets, as almost like humans, and that's not the right way either. So
Exactly.
we don't know how to do it right, as it seems.
And there
But
will be a change. We don't know what that change will look like yet, but with the
yeah,
1949 not being part of the experience, it will be for all of us, of course. So it's not until the new
yeah,
ones start coming in and really feeling that. So I mean, that's something
yeah,
to bear in mind. It's
yeah,
I mean, that will change things.
yeah, and maybe we can shape it to the better. Why not?
Yeah,
That would be a good thing to do,
yeah.
I believe. We will see. Thank
Education.
you. Yeah.
Okay, so any other questions? Otherwise, we can draw this to a close and invite you once again to sign up for our series that starts on the 13th of March. And yeah, we have our 12 webinars planned out, and we're really looking forward to bringing this information and sharing it with everybody who wants to come along. You're very welcome, Elena. Very welcome. Yeah. Any last questions, or shall we say plungers ahead and goodbye? Thank you for coming.
Plenty again.
Next time, bring your plunger. Okay, well, let's say bye-bye then. Thank you very much for coming, everybody. And we'll
Bye.
get this recording up for you to watch if you'd like to see it again. Okay,
Okay. Bye-bye.
bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all so much.